seems like every year the Bassmaster Elite Series has a promising crop of 10 anglers, 8 to 10 anglers, and they seem like they're getting younger and younger on average every year. And this year is no different. Another talented crop of 10 anglers coming into the Bassmaster Elite Series. And we're going to have our first of the rookies and EQ anglers. I guess not. I guess we have Nick Trim on second, but the first of the EQ anglers coming on. And this week on HellaBass Live, we're having Aaron Jagdfeld on. What's going on, Aaron?
How's it going? I appreciate you having me on. Thank you.
Absolutely. So Aaron was third in the Bassmaster EQs. And we'll kind of break down how we all got there, but kind of a big scare. You were blowing through the EQs. Life was good till after day one of Bass on Okeechobee, and you got Okeechobeed on day one. Yeah. And it looked like all that work was going to come for naught.
Dude,
what was that like?
It was crazy. And what's wild is Matt Messer and I are friends, so we both had the same day one. We both had a terrible day one and weighed in at the same time. I think I weighed in 2 spots after him. So I got off stage and we just looked at each other and we're like, dude, I cannot believe we did this, because he was 1 in points and I was 2 in points going into that day. And, we talked about it a little bit after weighing, and I got back in my boat, and that 5-minute idle was the longest 5-minute idle in my life back to put the boat on the trailer. So, I was pretty stressed out when I got the boat on the trailer, but I kind of just told myself, I was like, man, we're not going to be able to catch him tomorrow if I keep this in my head. So I said, as soon as we get in the truck and start driving home, we're going to, lock this out of our head, and we're going to think about how we're going to catch him tomorrow and focus on that. Because after the weigh-in ended, I kind of knew that I still had a good shot. Just had to go get the job done on day 2. And so I didn't let day 1 phase me at all. And, just got after it on day 2. But it was stressful right after. And that ride back in, I was like, man, I cannot believe I just did this. Like, had it all right there, and then had to make things a little interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Brian. Sounds like the video and audio is good. As always, HellaBass Live is presented by Arsenal Fishing and boosted by Powerslip Lithium. So you can check those links and codes out in the description if you want to support the show and the companies that support the channel here. So what was it just like? Fish moved on you? Did you lose fish? Like, what caused day 1 in retrospect? Yeah. Now that you got time to look back at it, like, where did it go wrong? Was it a bad practice? Was it what?
Mm-hmm. So honestly, what had happened is, we all know how Lake Okeechobee's fishing right now. Things are weird down there with the water levels constantly changing. Not much grass in the lake and stuff like that. And I went down there in pre-practice and I fished the canals that were all the way on the east side of the lake. So straight across the lake. And unless you got some balls, you don't want to run straight across there. So you kind of got to run the outer edge. So it's a long run to get over there, 35, 40 miles at least to get over there. And I went there first day of practice, had a pretty good day. I had like 15, 17 pounds, seen a lot of fish. And, I kind of wanted to get rid of that variable, that long run and going through the lock and all that stuff. And I spent the last 2 days of practice around the boat ramp on the north end of the Rim Canal, and then just outside of there, like Monkey Box area. And ended up finding some fish. The bite was decent. I felt like I could catch, 10 to 14 pounds, like I wouldn't say pretty easily, but, if I put my head down and fish and then, mixing a big bite, you got 20 pounds. So I was thinking about it, and even the last day of practice when that cold front hit, and I went back to an area where I had gotten like a dozen bites in, and we had like 15 minutes left of daylight, and I fired a big easy out there, and right away I caught a 2.5 pounder. And I was like, okay, I'm not making the run. I'm staying here. Like, these fish are still biting. Well, I started in the canal, and
so you kind of like played it safe based on the points. You're like, I just need 5 fish, 10 pounds. Like, that's all I need. No reason to run, risk it. Engine failure, mechanical, right? Like, just so more time to fish. So that was kind of your game plan.
For sure. And that was the hardest decision of my life. Honestly, like, I had never thought so hard about staying close or making the run. And I've never played it safe in a tournament before, and that was the first time I did it, and it bit me in the butt. And I'll tell you what, I will never do that again. Anytime I think, like, I know where big ones are, and whether do I stay close or make the run, I'm always going to make the run. And so, I stayed close, and that cold front really affected those fish. And what's funny is I actually told my roommate about the area that I was fishing. I was like, dude, if you need just a limit, like, pull up there in the afternoon, you can catch a couple of them. Well, I fished there and, threw a big easy and a speed worm around for a good, like, 2.5, 3 hours, and had some fish roll on it, miss it, and I think I only caught one there, and I left. And then once that sun finally got up at about noon and warmed it up enough. My buddy caught like 12 and a half, 13 pounds there in the afternoon. He pulled up there in the last hour and a half. So is what it is. I mean, you learn your lesson. Sometimes it's the hard way, but we were able to dig out of that hole on day 2. So. Yeah.
And so what was the adjustment on day 2 then?
Yeah. So day 2, I went to where I was going to go on day 1, but opted out of going, made the long run over to a canal on the east side of the lake, locked through. And what's funny is Matt Messer was a boat behind me on day 2. So I was like, dude, let's just ride over there together because he was going to the same spot. So we rode all the way across the lake together. I followed him over there because he had made the run day 1 and went through the lock together. We got into the lock and we just looked at each other and we were just joking around, laughing. And as the lock doors were open, we're like, man, let's just go get it done. Let's go bass fishing and have some fun. And we just went out there and saw him running past me when he was going back to the lock to lock through, and he gave me the thumbs up. And I was like, hell yes, dude! Like we did it. Like, so yeah, it was fun. Stressful.
So I think after day 1, you were like 60, 70th spot, something like that.
Yeah, it's like 50th, I think, is where I was at. Yeah,
and that dropped you like 3 spots. Mm-hmm. Out of the EQs, right? You went from 3rd to like 13th or something like that.
Yep. Yeah, so we were outside looking in after day 1, but I think mathematically, I'm not a math guy, so I didn't look at it like that after, but I was told I only needed to move up 7 spots to make it back into the elites, but yeah.
Sure. Mm-hmm. So you ran back over there, and I think you got off to like a quick start on day 2, it sounded like.
Yeah.
You got a couple of fish in the boat early to kind of...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I rolled in, I'll just say where it was a J&S canal. I rolled in there, was fishing just outside of the lock there. And, first 10 minutes, I caught a 2-pounder and a 4 1/4 to get the day started. And I had a GoPro on the back of my boat. I got a clip. It's like, man, we're going to smash them today. Like, I looked right at the camera and said that. And I went like another hour without getting a bite after I said that. So, yeah, it was a grind for a while. And I had a limit for 11.5 pounds by about 1:30, 2 o'clock, and that's when I had to start thinking about getting back in that lock, because it takes 15 minutes to get through. You don't know if there's guys in there. Luckily, I was close enough where I could see the lock and see guys going through. And I was like, all right, I'm going to give it 5 more minutes, and I'm going to get back. I'm going to go through the lock and run back. Well, in that 5 minutes, Rob G and Matt Messer came running up the canal, and they passed me. And I'm thinking, well, the lock can only fit 2 boats, so I'll just let them go through. I'll fish for another 15 minutes. Well, 14 minutes goes by, and I'm thinking in my head, all right, last cast, they got to be through. See one fish. I honestly kind of blacked out during this moment. I don't remember the whole fish catch, but I just remember seeing one fish, and I fired my minnow out there at it. And next thing I know, I had it in the boat, and it was a 4.5 pounder that got rid of a 1.5 pounder. So it called me up to 14.5 pounds. And man, I broke down on the boat. I was like, I didn't know what to do. It was an incredible feeling. That was kind of the moment where I knew that had a really good shot at making it, and was able to get back in the lock. And Laker Hall and I were in the lock, and I was telling him about the day, and yeah, it was insane. And then at that point, the stress flipped to that 45, 50-mile run back. Like, yeah, I gotta make it back.
Did I time it right? Did I all the things you're like, what, right? And you're like replaying and
exactly. Sure. So many variables in those long runs.
And by that time, you're probably close to there's probably nobody coming behind you, right? Like you're
exactly. Yeah, Laker and I were the last ones out of that canal on day 2. So I knew that there was nobody back coming. So I was like the last boat. I think I had one guy once I got close to Clewiston that was running behind me. So then I felt a little safer. I was like, if I break down, 15 miles out, at least this guy's close enough to where he can stop and pick me up if something happens. So.
Yeah, that probably really wasn't your first scare of the year, right? Because I think you had a first 2 good or 1 good event, right? And then Kentucky Lake comes around, and that didn't go so well.
Dude, you would have thought I didn't know how to catch a bass that week. I weighed in 1 bass in 2 days, finished 197th place. I got 3 points in that tournament, about as bad as it can get. And coming off of a 21st place finish at Rayburn, really didn't know how the rest of the year was going to go after that. So yeah.
So you go from solidly in, cash a check, to basically almost finishing dead last, to the point do I even fish the next 2? Right. It's probably can I mathematically get back in this thing? Mm-hmm. And then I think you put 2 solid finishes on Norfolk and Leech, right?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Top 38th at Norfolk, and I think 29th at Leech. So was enough to slide me in. I think I finished 44th in the points in that.
42nd here.
42nd. Okay.
So I think they took the top 50. So you made it by 24 points.
Yeah. Yeah. And
so
honestly, coming off
had
Kentucky.
to cash a check at Leach is kind of what.
Yeah. Yeah.
And coming off, you needed a top 40, 45, 50. So, and that kind of depends on other anglers and how they did.
Yeah.
So what was the, I guess, mentality coming out of Kentucky to get back into it?
Yeah.
In those last two events, like, what's your mindset?
I had such a good run coming up to Kentucky that I don't want this to sound a bad way, but it had been like a little while since I've had like a complete bomb of a tournament. So it was kind of a weird feeling coming off the water on day 2 and weighing in that one fish. And I was like, dude, I just weighed in one fish in 2 days. Like, I'm about to finish last place in this tournament. And, I thought about it. It was the same thing that I did at Okeechobee. It was like, can't let it get to you. You got to go back to the drawing board and figure out where you went wrong and how you can catch them in the next one. And I'm not a math guy. Like, I don't look at points. I knew that I wanted to fish those last 2 opens. Didn't know if I realistically had a shot or not at making it. But yeah, I just told myself, so we're just going to go bass fishing. We're just going to go have fun and fish free in the next 2 and see what happens. I knew that if I got to Leach and was in the hunt to still make it, I felt good about it because, it's more my style of fishing up north, smallmouth, largemouth fishing. Like, feel a lot more comfortable doing that than down on the TVA in March fishing Kentucky Lake. So, but yeah, it was definitely a tough 8-hour ride home after Kentucky. But yeah, like I said, I just kind of put my head down and went bass fishing for the next 2 and didn't really worry about it too much and went and had fun.
So I guess we didn't really cover that, but you're a Michigan guy, right? Like, that's where you're born, raised.
Yep.
Went to college in Michigan at Aiden, right? Is that, or Adrian?
Adrian. Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm from Rochester Hills, Michigan, which is like north side of St. Clair. If you draw a straight line from Anchor Bay, about 20 miles west of there is where I live. So half hour from Anchor Bay and Lake St. Clair. So that's what I call my home lake. Fish out there all the time, Lake Erie. And yeah, Adrian's like right on the southeastern corner of Michigan, right down by Monroe on Lake Erie. So yeah, those are my 2 home ponds.
Adrian is pretty close to where you fish the Bass Nation then.
Yeah, about 45 minutes from there. So yeah, close.
Okay. Yeah, so last year was, I mean, kind of rewind, you're what, a year or so out of college?
Yeah, I took a 5th year and I graduated in the fall of 23 is what it would have been. Yeah. So that was
division. I don't know if there'll be another division like Division 2 this year from, like, I don't know.
Dude,
the weather.
I can't believe it. Yeah, it's crazy. Just the weather. Yeah, and then to go and fish that Erie tournament too, to put it all on top of it, it was like felt like every time I got into a bass tournament, it was like a one day or what day are we gonna go fishing? Thursday through Saturday. Let's pick one. I see a comment come up. What was your major? My major, I was sports management at Adrian College. Is what I graduated with.
Is that all helpful, you think, sports management for the sponsorship game? Or
honestly, I think majority of it is all the marketing classes that I took, because the sports management was more of like, a facility management side of it, planning sports games or putting together events and stuff like that. Event planning is what that major was more towards. But the marketing classes definitely helped me out a lot. What just being able to market yourself in front of people and really getting a gauge. They're kind of transforming some of those classes more towards the social media side of stuff and like really looking at numbers and showing how to promote yourself and promote companies doing that. So that definitely helped me out a ton.
So if the fishing doesn't work out, you go get a job with the Savannah Bananas and
no. I'm gonna stay in the fishing industry. Maybe I'll just plan. Maybe I'll plan the tournament.
Fishing not working out is not an option, is what you're saying.
No, not at all.
Right up. So yeah, you mix your open schedule in with your Bass Nation experience.
Mm-hmm.
Right, you've got a one-day event was it Rayburn or Toledo Bend? Which one?
Yeah, Rayburn. Yep.
Rayburn, and then a one-day, or then I guess they did fish all 3 days at Kentucky, but
Yep.
and then a 1 day at Norfolk, and then a 2-day event at Leech, which probably shouldn't have called that first day. The third day was probably worse than the third day.
Yeah.
And then you fished a 1-day Bass Nation event in which you won, right?
Yep.
And then things seemed like they were rolling smooth at lacrosse until we had the a 4-hour fog delay on the third day at lacrosse.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Gosh, dude, I can't believe how much the weather affected. It felt like every tournament I fished this year was just brutal. I didn't think we were gonna go at lacrosse either because he told us 11, and like it seemed like every half hour would go by and just a little bit of that fog would lift, and then finally you could see the bridge, and I was like, "There's no way he's gonna send us and let us fish for 3.5 hours or 4 hours or whatever it was," and then he just called it. It's like,
yeah, it was wild because like it would lift. Kind of, and then it would like sock back in, and then it like kind of like, oh maybe, and then boom, and then all of a sudden you can't see like 2 boats away, and you're like, oh man, we are.
Yeah, it really never felt like we were gonna go, did it?
So Dustin, one of the channel members, viewers here, was at Erie. He says, was day 1 at Erie rougher than the days canceled in the opens? That ride back sucked.
Yes. Yeah, it definitely was. But the thing is that I got to put it on that is that nobody knew that was going to happen. That was a pop-up storm that came through. We knew we were going to have thunderstorms in the afternoon. Nobody knew that it was going to be a straight south wind blowing up the chute. And anybody that fishes Erie and Detroit River knows how bad a south wind is. And when it's gusting 25 to 35 out of the south, like it's going to get bad. But nobody can plan for that. So that's why we still went, is because it wasn't calm in the morning, but it was calm enough to go. And because that was blowing out of the east in the morning, and then it switched when those storms kicked up. So
out of the south, it's straight against the current down there.
Yeah. Yeah. It just they build up and they get huge in front of the mouth. It doesn't like it can blow 15 miles an hour, and you're going to be in 3 and 4 footers at the mouth of Detroit River. Like it doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, I don't know who planned that tournament. I don't think it was. I don't know if that's GL or some other committee, but like,
yeah.
That wasn't a good location to send a Bass Nation event out of.
Hell no. No, we could have gone 10 miles up out of Elizabeth Park in the Detroit River, and you'd have been protected.
And that's where like the BFLs go out of, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we could have gone out of there, and they could have sent us every day. And worst case, they just lock it to the river. So is what it is. And day 2 was blowing hard out of the west. We definitely could have gone on day 2, but the thing is like the way that Bass looks at it is those guys that would have tried to run to Peely, they would have got 15 miles out and they would have been in 6 to 8 footers, like it's calm on the bank there because it's blowing off the bank, but guys trying to go where they wanted to go, like they would have been in even bigger waves than we were on day 1. So.
Right on. So, yeah, I mean, so going back, right, I think you fished a pretty heavy schedule for college, like 3 years, like 21 through 23, right? Like that was kind of your main thing. Seemed like just kind of went back and look at your Bass stats. You kind of had like your learning curve through the college, and then that 23 into 24, you kind of started to have some quality finishes and kind of find your stride there, and then you kind of dipped your toe in the opens. You fished 2 opens in 24. You fished St. Clair,
yep,
and lacrosse.
Yep.
Is there any reason you didn't fish Leech?
Yeah. So it was actually on top of the the college Bass National Championship. So It was, since we qualified for Team of the Year, or we won Team of the Year for our trail in college, I had to go to the national championship to qualify for the classic bracket. So that's why it was like up in the air. So.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense then. And then you top 10 St. Clair, right?
Yeah, I got second at St. Clair. Yep.
Second to Jay Shakurit.
Yep. He knows how to catch them
smallmouth. For taking away that dream of yours, did he help you out with your whitewater deal or what?
No, we were laughing after. I mean, dude, he caught him so good on day 3. Like, he deserved to win that tournament. It was cool to see. I mean, catching that big of a bag after Anchor Bay already has 200 boats in it, like that was super impressive.
Sure. Yeah, so we briefly met. I think during the practice days or something. Tommy Parker, former guest, and Brian Bankson and a couple others were kind of camping, staying in some trailers. I don't remember if you stayed there one night or were just visiting or whatever, but so
yeah, I just came over there and hung out for a little bit because I knew Tommy from college. He went to Adrian for 1.5 years, 2 years. So got to meet him through that. And then, a lot of the river guys, I would say my favorite fishery outside of the Great Lakes is the river. It's so fun, dude. Just like you can fish any way you want over there. And it's just, when you go there, it just feels like you're bass fishing. It's so much fun. Like
which river?
Mississippi.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I love it over there.
Right on. So, yeah. So that you kind of, did you fish? Yeah. So that was 24.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So 25. This is your first year really committing to a division of the Opens. You have 3 good events and 1 terrible event, but that's enough to get you into the EQs.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said, we talked about earlier, you had a solid Champlain, a solid Wheeler, and 1 bad day at Okeechobee, but you rallied to make the Elite Series. So,
yeah,
was that? Now, I assume that was the goal the whole time.
Yeah, for sure.
Now it's upon you. Now, how do things change? How do you prepare for your rookie season, knowing that you start here in 2 months?
Yeah, it's been controlled chaos off the rip. We kind of get it's a fast turnaround with happening mid-November, and got to get a boat, got to figure out how to get it wrapped, got to figure out who's going to be on the side of the boat. But had a couple of good companies that stepped up, and happy to have good relationships with them. Going to be working with Strike King and Lose, Whitewater, Powerhouse Lithium. So got a good group of companies that are going to be on the side of the boat next year. And now I just got to get the boat in on time, get the Phoenix in, and get it wrapped and make sure it's ready to go for first tournament at Guntersville. But yeah, it still doesn't feel real. Everything's happening so fast, and the year went by so quick. And talking about college and the learning curve and everything like that, it feels like just yesterday I was sitting in my dorm room freshman year figuring out why I got 175th place at Lewis Smith Lake, and for it to all come full circle this quick, it's pretty crazy. And I'm super excited, and it won't feel real until I put my boat in the water at Guntersville on day one and kind of look around and see all the guys I've looked up to and watched on Bass Live, for a long time. And I'm super blessed and super excited to get out there.
Yeah, I had no idea you were running Powerhouse, but at least the one thing you don't have to worry about is your batteries next year.
Exactly.
One less thing to worry about.
Yeah, I ran them this year. Awesome setup. Those running guns are bad to the bone. I mean, so the BFLs, we go out of Elizabeth Park and then, run up to St. Clair. It's a 35, 40-mile run to get to some areas, and, run up there and you're scoping all day long, and your batteries get down to 35, 40%. And by the time I make that 40-mile run back, those batteries are already almost back at 100%. So their setup they got is the real deal. It's awesome.
Absolutely. W. Henry says, how'd you get into college fishing as a high schooler?
This is a really good question. So I had a completely different background than I'd say 95% of the guys that go to college fishing. I really got big into bass fishing in 7th, 8th grade. I was probably 12 years old. I grew up fishing my whole life, walleye fishing, perch fishing on actually some incredible bass fisheries, and didn't know it at the time because my grandpa was a walleye guy, so that's what I did. But yeah, so I really wanted to get in the tournament scene when I was about a freshman in high school, and I didn't have access to a bass boat, didn't have access to a boat in general. So that's when the kayak scene was really starting to come about. So I ended up going that route. It was a lot cheaper for me to get into a kayak, and I fished kayak tournaments, the Michigan Kayak Trail, through high school all the way up to my senior year when I graduated. And that's actually how I was able to get my first bass boat. My junior and senior year of high school, I won a couple tournaments and saved up enough money, and I was able to buy my first bass boat. It was a 2001 Champion 187 with a Merc EFI on it. Good old 2-stroke, and that thing ran awesome. I ran it in college for 3 years, and that was an awesome boat. So yeah, that's kind of how I got my start. And like I said, a little unique. It was cost effective being a high school kid that couldn't afford a boat, and so that's the route that I took. Never fished out of a bass boat before I got to Adrian.
Okay. So did you pick Adrian for its fishing, or was that a happy coincidence, or what was that?
Yeah, so there's a guy by the name Nick Marsh, absolute hammer. He's obviously lives in Michigan. He was one of the guys that was on one of the first teams at Adrian, and kind of a small world because his dad lives up where my grandparents live in Indian River. So word of mouth, everybody talking and stuff like that. And in high school, caught wind of my grandpa knows a guy that his son fishes on Adrian, and started following Adrian College and seeing seeing what those boys were doing, and really got me hooked. And I was like, I wanted to play at the time. I either wanted to play college hockey or play college lacrosse. And as soon as I found out junior year of high school that you could go to college for bass fishing, it was over. I was like, I'm not doing that stuff anymore. I'm going bass fishing, and got in contact with Coach Borton and went on my tour senior year, and yeah, absolutely fell in love with it. Loved the smaller campus vibe, something that I could actually pass classes at, and yeah, go bass fishing. So it was fun.
And I feel like they got a pretty strong program at Adrian.
Mm-hmm.
Like the professors kind of understand, they work with you. Like it's kind of set up for fishing at Adrian. Like they're
for sure. Yeah, no, the professors make it easy, and a lot of things are transitioning to online too now. I hear a lot of stuff. A lot of the bass fishing schools are more like, or smaller schools, I'd say, student population less than a D1 school. So a lot of the professors, it's more on a personal level, so they'll understand it a lot more than, if you go to a big school and you're in a lecture hall with 250, 300 kids, like it's a little bit different because you don't have that one-on-one connection with that professor. So yeah, it was definitely good. And
yeah, I think you look at like an Auburn, they're kind of the exception. You don't see many of the other like Big Ten, SEC, D1 type schools really pumping out consistent teams like you do Montevallo, Murray State,
right.
So
for sure.
Jim wants to know, since you fished several opens and a Bass Nation event, how would you compare them?
That's I don't have a great answer for that question, just because the regional was a little bit different, just because it was a 1-day shootout versus being like the full 3 days of how it would normally be. But man, they're similar, but they're also different. You're fishing against a lot of guys in the Bass Nation events that you don't really know, and I feel like it's just different, because you traveled with the opens. You fish against the same guys for so many tournaments. You learn all these guys. You're seeing them at the boat ramps in the morning. You're talking to them, stuff like that. Like, it was just a little bit different vibe at the Nation events. But that not talking bad at them at all. I absolutely loved it. We talked about that before we got on here. The regional setup is incredible. Having those 4 tournaments and having that step to go to the national championship, I think that's an awesome platform. And that national championship is a great setup too. You fish 2 tournaments and you can make it to the classic and the elites. Like that's the way to go. Like it's a really cool setup. Honestly, the difference is like there's not a ton when I think about it.
Organizational wise, communication, like how the tournaments run, I feel like they're almost identical.
I think so too. Yeah, they're both very well set up, very well planned. Like, yeah, I mean, 100%.
You get like the same tournament briefings, you get the same emails, you get the same texts. It's just one's coming from Hank, the other one's coming from GL. Yep. Like they I mean, it's $1,600 cheaper entry fee, and you got
exactly
a non-boater. That's probably your biggest differences. But as far as like how they're run, how the takeoffs, the communications, the level of professionalism, how the tournaments run, they seem really similar.
Yeah, 100%. Like you said, the professionalism and being able to make that step is like, if you only want to fish one national level tournament a year and don't want to drop a $2,000 entry fee, those regionals are incredible to fish. I mean, it's super high level competition, very well ran, like you said, and yeah, it's also good for younger guys too. I told a couple high school kids this, so they were like, what should I fish outside of high school if I want to fish like a single tournament to kind of get my feet wet to see how it is, because I want to fish in college or I want to make the jump to the opens. I was telling the regional, it's so much more cost effective just to go fish one to see what it's like. You can pick one of the 4 that they have to go fish a new body of water, I think, and it really is the closest thing, if not about the same as ran to the opens. So I think it's a very good platform.
If you just want to know what it feels to be in a 150 to 200 boat tournament and get that thrill and that adrenaline, and that it checks all the boxes from that perspective, and still fishing for good money and good exposure and good coverage and really good competition. I mean, is it as good top to bottom as the opens? No, but it's plenty strong.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah. I think you talked about. Yeah. So I guess one of the questions I had. So as you were like progressing, you made the EQs and you started to do well. You know, there was like a month between each event, almost for the EQs.
Yeah.
As you started to do well in those first two EQs, did you start having conversations with companies at that point?
Yeah, I had a couple companies that I'd reached out to. Honestly, like obviously my full intention was to qualify for the Elite Series, but more or less I was just trying to set it up because everything for the most part seems like it happens from September till end of October with companies, and then things really start to get locked down. So I knew that things ending in November was kind of going to be it'd be a little shady trying to lock things down, whether I was fishing the Opens or the Elite Series next year. So yeah, I did reach out to some companies and talk to them just to try to get the ball rolling for next season. So it wasn't like shooting in the dark coming out of that last tournament. And so yeah, I did reach out to some companies for that, and obviously not obviously, but some of them did pan out, and super happy to be working with them next year, and happy that it's going to be on the Elite Series. So yeah,
MJ Bass, any thoughts on the EQ format versus the L9?
Yeah, it's kind of a weird. It's tough to look at it because there's a few different angles to look at it, in my opinion. You look at it all 9 opens. If you make 250 guys fish all 9 opens, yes, you're going to get the best guys fishing it. But then that also totally eliminates the guys that can't get 9 weeks off of work and chase that dream that they wanted to when we had it at the 3 tournaments that you could qualify for. So I think the way that they compromised it with the 4 tournaments and then qualifying and then you being able to make that decision of, well, am I going to fish these last 3 to try to qualify? Because now there's only 100 guys that I'm fishing against. I think I like that better than the 9, just because that's still, I wouldn't say it really opens the opportunity for the working class guy to do it, but it opens the opportunity a little more to have that option versus having to fish all 9 and pay that deposit up front on all 9. So that's just the way that I look at it. I think that there's still a lot of changes that we can make to it to make it better. And I don't want to eliminate anybody that wants to do it. Like, I don't want to eliminate that at all. So
yeah, I mean, I think there are pros and cons, right? Like it worked out for you. You did what you did to get in the top 50. You were able to overcome that bad finish, which across 9 you probably still could have gotten over that one bad finish potentially, right? But you would have had to. But on the flip side, right, a Lucas Lindsay who dominates Division 1 comes in with no equity in the EQs, right? And he has a bad day on Champlain and it's over, right? So I mean, it really kind of depends on which end of it you end up on, to be honest. But I don't look at anybody in that field and go, they don't belong there like that. I don't think that, so.
Yeah, I think if they change it a little bit to reward the guys in those 4 tournaments, like whether it was the guy that wins AOI, gets a bid to the Elite Series, and then you take the top 8 from the EQs to change it up a little bit. Because the only thing that I didn't like about it is there wasn't an incentive to win AOI. Like Peg South won AOI and he didn't get anything for it. It was like it was a good job, Like there should be something for AOI or the top 3 guys, something.
You can definitely see. And I thought I had that idea too. Like if you win one of the divisions, you should get. And then you got whatever 100 guys fishing for 8 spots, which I don't think that's going to deter anybody at that EQ level. I do think that'd be a good compromise for sure.
Yeah, that or classic spot, something to bring a little more incentive to AOI versus just trying to shoot for that top 50 and guys trying to.
There's no incentivized not to do it, right? You're winning. I mean, they won the most money in the first 4 events.
Right, exactly, for sure.
I mean, it's not like you're saving fish for anything like that.
No, not at all. Yeah, but yeah, no, I think the format, in my opinion, now is a little more helpful towards maybe the money side of it. If you look at it that way, even though the EQs are expensive, like versus tying up all your money in 9 right off the rip. So that's why I liked it a little better.
But on the flip side, you in theory could make the top 50 and not cash a check in 4 events.
That is very true. Yeah, you could come in 70th place in every single one to make the EQs.
Yeah, but doesn't help the. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
The
It allows you
payouts.
to pace yourself. You don't have to go and put the deposit and sign up for all 9. You can kind of like, there's like checkpoints in this system
For
where you
sure.
can kind of like, so.
Yeah, I think the format does help a little bit too. Versus like I don't think you're going to see a lot of the as many of the 2 years and done now on the Elite Series as you did, but before with the 3 tournaments, and that's not any shot at anybody. I'm just saying, like, you're going to get the guys that catch them for the tournaments throughout the year, whether it's the 4 and 3 or the 9 tournaments. I think is a little more rigorous. I would say, not in a bad way, but I think people
Although I
understand
do
with
think in the next 5 years we might hit a tipping point
where
there's really no, like, the people that have made it through those 5 years and stayed above the cut on the elites are going to be so strong that like you're just going to be bumping into like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I could see that, but I also think like you could think about it in this way too. The sport's always evolving, so the guys that stay on top of everything and stay, because things are going to change. Whether it's new baits coming out for forward-facing sonar or we get rid of it, like things are always going to change with bass fishing. So the guys that can stay on top of it are going to stay on top, and I think that
and I think it makes it more legitimate, right? I mean, that's no different than like. Doesn't matter how highly touted you are or how long your career's been in the NBA or the NFL or pick your sport. If you can't make the shot anymore, if you can't connect, if you can't hit doubles or, whatever, like at some point it's just a business decision. And so I think to some degree that legitimizes it, that like you're not going to be able to just hang on, whether you're a 10-year vet or a second-year person that, breezes through their opens and EQs. You're just going to have to keep catching them.
100%.
So.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think, things. It's gonna be kind of crazy to think with the talent that's coming up and qualifying and stuff like that. It's gonna be really interesting to watch. I'm with you on that.
Yeah. So I think 5 years now, where is the sport gonna be that somebody that was good enough to go through the opens or EQs or whatever the system is, what is that AAA system? Is there going to be a system where you can actually like fish and be competitive and kind of like,
kind of
go
be a
place where you can kind of go like golf, right? You can kind of go back and forth and still be relevant and mainstream and make a living at it, like.
Right. Yeah, I'd like to see that happen for sure. I just, obviously everything comes back to money and stuff like that. It'd be really nice to see the guys that, do get booted off whatever series it is to be able to go back to that AAA level and still make a living and fight their way back without, trying to going broke and stuff like that. Like I wish that the AAA level had more of a little bit of hype behind it. And I think it is growing a lot just because I feel like there's so many more guys that are fishing it now that, the talent is higher, and it feels like it keeps getting better every year. Whether guys coming from all different directions, and it seems like everybody's really taking a shot at it. So,
Bo wants to know if you got any good co-angler stories from this year, and I don't know if he's fishing for a specific one he knows about or just in general.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. I'm actually, I don't know. I've had some great co-anglers in the past, and some ones that aren't too fun, but things happen in the boat, and sometimes you just don't mesh with people. And I'm not going to dive too deep into that story that Bo wants to hear, but yeah, so things just don't mesh sometimes, and that's just how it is. And it can make for a bad day for you and your co, or whether if you're the co for you and your boater too. So sometimes things just don't go the way you want it to.
Classic after party, and then maybe I'll give you the details on that one.
Yeah, there you go.
So Gabe wants to know, how do you feel about the new 28-day info rule?
Yeah, so this is a big controversy, obviously. I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm not a fan of it. I really don't like it. I liked the full year off limits, and I get it can be tough with tying that into the polygraphs and stuff like that. Like I can understand that for some people they might think that the questions might be tough, but to me it's black and white. Like it's no info. Like if some guy comes up to you at a gas station and says something, you just say I can't get information. Like if they blurt something out, obviously you didn't have enough time to stop them. As long as you don't carry like a conversation on, to me, that there's nothing like you can do about somebody saying something. So I liked the no year or the 1 year, but going to 28 days, it'll make it, I guess, even more black and white. And so that's how it is. I'm not a huge fan that guys can technically get info now, and I since it's, so I don't know, kind of gets me fired up a little bit, but
Sure. I think where it got weird though, I don't feel like Bassmaster did a good job of. We kind of talked about this. I was actually on the Slick on TikTok a little bit earlier tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Is I don't think Bassmaster did a good job of like determining intent on some of these failed polygraphs this year. And to me, you probably shouldn't be able to get DQ'd over a polygraph alone.
Mm-hmm.
Like a polygraph should either be used to confirm a protest or an incident or an allegation, or right there, if there's some smoke, you use the polygraph to confirm it, and then you're kind of putting multiple pieces together, or it tells you should be digging into something, right? Like it gives you, okay, we need to dig into this now. But it and I don't we don't really know, right? But some of these DQs felt like they were probably warranted. Some of these people had a track record. Some of these other ones seemed like they got caught in the crossfire, and I don't know if they would have self-reported this incident, like the guy at the gas station, right? Or I talked to my buddy I always talk to, and he told me something he shouldn't. If you self-report and then it doesn't, before it comes up in a truth verification test 30 days later, is that, I don't know. I just feel like it wasn't handled as smoothly as it could be.
I'm with you on that. But I think to me, it's two different scenarios. It's a guy comes up to a gas station. I feel like
they're trying to fix
3 words.
The polygraph problem with an information rule change, and they're kind of separate things.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. But I think it's two different things when you're on the phone with a buddy and he slips up and says 2 words, and then you cut him off in the middle of a sentence and say, hey, I can't talk about that, versus you letting the whole conversation ride out and then saying, oh, we can't talk about this. You know what I mean? Like it's 2 different things in that, and like your intent to cut off the conversation and to let it ride out. So I think that's where that is. But yeah, I'm with you on that too. I think like the polygraph should be used more of if somebody gets protested, okay, there's something going on, let's use the polygraph to.
I think the random still makes sense, but just because you stumble with a question on a random, I don't think should automatically be a DQ. Like I don't know, like no, I don't know.
I'm with you on that too.
And there's other ones that I don't. Yeah, and I don't know really the truth on any of these. It's the court of public appeal at that point, and the problem for me is that they all get lumped together, and you either think your average person either thinks they're all cheaters, or they think they all got caught in the crossfire. Right? They all think it's either like this is just Bass doing dumb stuff, or I mean, the casual fan is not going to try to like interpret the difference between Scott Martin, Ty Au, and Jaden Parrish.
Right.
And they're all kind of different.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. The average guy is not going to know what's actually going on, because they're just going to see the title of an article, and yeah.
So. Yeah. Trying to think here. So, I mean, how do you feel about Zona putting pressure on you, calling you, a fellow Michigan guy, basically thinks you're the next KBD Rookie of the Year slam dunk? Do you like that hype? Do you, how does that make you feel?
Yeah, no, it's cool to hear. I've gotten to know Zona over the last few years. Super good dude, and he's to hear that from him. Growing up watching him, and obviously being from Michigan, the 2 guys I watched the most were Kevin and him. So it's cool to see. When Bassmaster's name comes up and you got Zona and Tommy talking about you, it's awesome to hear. And honestly, no, there definitely is a little bit of pressure to it, but man, it's just bass fishing. I'm just going out there to have fun, and I don't really think about it too deep. Anytime I do think about it like that, it turns into day 1 at Okeechobee and crap the bed on a tournament day. So I just like to go have fun and try not to feel the pressure and just go bass fishing. So, but yeah, it definitely was cool to hear that. And like I said, growing up watching him and seeing him talk, like say my name like that, it's cool to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, how do you the 50-50 scope, no scope?
Ooh, yeah,
Now
that's a
that
good
it's
question.
here.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. It's bass fishing, whether we're going and out on Lake St. Clair and scoping 25 pounds of smallmouth, or I'm going up in the St. Clair River and sight fishing 25 pounds on a hair jig. Like it's all fun to me, you know. Like I grew up skipping a jig under docks and throwing a chatterbait in the grass and transitioning into scope. It's bass fishing. I like catching fish, and I feel like a lot of people can say the same thing, whether you're using forward facing or not. So I think it's gonna be really interesting. I'm looking forward to it just because there's a lot of times in tournament scenarios where you want to go do something, but you got to be out here in the middle of the lake, and so I think it's gonna be fun to just be able to turn it off and go back to the roots and not have to worry about it and just be able to go down the bank and have fun.
Do you feel like while scope is a strength of yours, you don't feel it's a crutch for you? You feel like you can do both?
Yeah, I think so for sure. I mean, like I said, I grew up skipping docks and throwing a chatterbait and throwing a hair jig at smallmouth. So that's how I learned. And yeah, I mean, throughout college, I've obviously used it a lot more. But and in the tournament scenario, I mean, we all know nowadays if they're going to allow it, you got to use it. Like for the most part, unless you're John Cox and you can just flat out catch a bass no matter where you're at or what the scenario is. But yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think John Cox has been like top 10. I mean, I guess he slipped all the way to 11th this year, not using scope. It was a bad year for him.
It's insane to watch. Just how he picks, like watching him on live, and like because it feels like he's fishing fast but so methodical, breaking everything down. It's incredible to see the way he breaks down a body of water on live and in all the videos when he's talking about it.
I mean, he was in the 20s in the scopiest of scopy year, 2024.
Yeah,
I think that was the peak of no, 12th year before that. So, yeah, I don't know if there's. It's well said. John Cox is a badass. I don't know if there's.
Hell yeah.
I don't know if. I mean, do you think we're going to see a John Cox come out of the college?
I honestly don't know.
Is it possible to be a no live transducer person and make it through college, make it through the opens?
Honest answer, no. Because when in the tournaments that you can use it, you got to use it. Like no matter whether you're fishing in 3 foot of water or you're fishing out in 100 foot of water, like it's going to play. So I think that you definitely can obviously catch them in the tournaments without it. But if it's allowed, you got to figure out how to incorporate it into whatever game plan you're going with, whether that's just adding an extra fish or 2 a day. But it just makes you so much more efficient. Even if you're going down the bank, they're on a spinnerbait. Like you could make 10 casts rolling down the bank, and all of a sudden you see on your scope, you see this one stump that's sitting 10 foot off the bank that you would have never known was there. Now you roll your spinnerbait over it and you catch that extra fish. Like you
could have saw it on 360, but
yeah, but I'm just saying it makes everything more efficient. I don't think
he's got that either.
Yeah, no, he doesn't.
But I mean, do you think it works for him because he's in a 100-boat field?
Man, I've never thought about it like that. Honestly, I don't know.
Do you think John Cox could go through the opens and requalify without scope in today's?
Yeah, he's that good for sure.
Just because he's John Cox, he's just a freak.
But it also feels like he gets away from everybody. Even when he's doing his own thing, he's always like, it never seems like there's other people around him. Even if there's other guys fishing the bank, it just seems like he always figures out like one little niche on a lake and he's got it to himself. Like,
yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. So I think next year, so you're starting in Alabama.
Yep. Gunnersville.
And Gunnersville. Have you ever been to Gunnersville?
Yeah, I've been there. I've been going down there for the last 3 years. I try to make it down there once a year in the winter or spring. Go have some fun. The place is awesome.
And then we got Alabama version of Sabine, where like 10 pounds a day is going to be good on Lake Martin.
Yep, never been there.
I mean, we saw what the weights were like at the opens last year or the year before, right? So, yeah, it seems like I mean, I don't think they needed to do the 50-50 for this year, the way they laid out the schedule, but it's a good schedule.
Yeah, I always thought that, the scheduling played a big factor into it. And then we look at some other tournaments where it did, like, we would have thought that it wouldn't have ever been one on scope, and it did get one on scope. Like the Pasco Tank, you go to a shallow cypress tree place that, stumps everywhere and stuff like that. I mean, obviously, hindsight's 2020. You look at it and you're like, okay, if they're spawning, we're going to use perspective. But, I don't know. I think, like I said, I don't hate it. I love live scope, and I love fishing without it. So, yeah.
Absolutely. What are your goals for your first season?
Yeah, I wanna win Rookie of the Year, and I want to win a blue trophy. I mean, every tournament I go into, I want to win it. So I'm just, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I feel like my motto is aim small, miss small. Sometimes you get 197th, but at least you did everything you could, and trying to get that first place. So, yeah.
So you want to be in the mix going into the northern smallmouth swing, right? I mean,
Yeah.
like that. I mean, that's your strengths, right? Like
Yep.
not saying you're not going to catch them, and you're not, but like you're going to be at your at most highest comfort level the last two events.
For sure. Yeah. No, I'm super excited to go to. I've actually only been to the St. Lawrence one time, and I think we're going out to Clayton this year, so we're right by Ontario. And that is definitely, Lake Ontario, fishing the Great Lakes, boulder fishing, catching floaters, stuff like that, all smallmouth stuff. That's my deal. Or shallow fishing in the river, like that's my favorite kind of fishing to do. And then Champlain's not far from that either, even though there's no scope. Like it's gonna be the same deal. Shallow power fishing for smallmouth or shallow power fishing for northern largemouth. Like yeah, definitely gonna feel at home on those two bodies of water.
So have you mapped it out? How many of the lakes on the schedule have you been to?
I have been to
whatever is the.
Yeah, I've been to Guntersville. I've been to Murray. I've been to St. Lawrence, and I've been to Champlain. So four of them. That's it.
Just under half, or just more than half you haven't. Are you planning to pre-practice any of them, or?
Yeah, I'm going to probably pre-practice the ones that I haven't been to, and then I definitely want to put some time in out on Ontario and St. Lawrence just because it's such a big body of water, and haven't been there since 2021. So definitely going to look at it different going there now versus when I did when I was a sophomore in college. So. Yeah, but I try to spend as much time on the water as I can with staying inside the budget, just trying to constantly learn and out there trying to put myself in different scenarios, whether it's weather, bodies of water, and stuff like that, just to constantly be learning and trying new stuff to stay on top of everything.
So I guess that's a good question. Like this year, fishing the opens, did you have a job? Was fishing your only thing? How did you?
Yeah, so back in April is actually when I left my job. I worked at a marina, a small marina down in Tecumseh, Michigan. One of my best friends from college was my boss, and then there was the owner, Walt. So it was a really good deal. We had two bass fishermen and Walt who supported us there. Worked there after I graduated, and he gave us the time off to fish, and it was nice because we could. One of my favorite things in the world is fishing weeknighters. So we get into work early and get off at 3:00 and go hit one of the lakes. But yeah, I ended up leaving my job in April and realized that it probably wasn't going to be too feasible to be on the road for 3 weeks, and it's not fair to my boss or Braden that I was working with to be gone for that long. So I told him that I was just going to take probably a long-term leave, and then ended up kind of getting on a roll with cashing checks and stuff like that, and just kept it rolling into the summer fishing on the home pond. So yeah, I haven't had an everyday job since April, I'd say. So. But making as much money on the side as I can, whether I'm snow plowing here or doing what else, I'm picking up side jobs to make money. So,
yeah. But you were fishing, pre-practicing, coming home, fishing local stuff. BFL. Did you win a BFL this year too, or is that?
Yeah, I won a BFL on the river.
Yeah. So what's the plan next year? Just focus on fishing.
Yeah, I'm focusing on just fishing the elites next year. Going to fish all 9, and then I'm going to jump into that the open on Erie out of Buffalo. So never fished over there, but I'm looking forward to it. I know it's good over there, but it's definitely a lot different than the west side of Erie where I know the best. But looking forward to it. So.
Wet Dog Smell says, "Do you got a crew that you're planning to travel with? What's your travel plan?"
That's a great name, by the way. Wet Dog Smells. But yeah, no. So it's gonna be Sam Hagee and Matt Messer. Us three are gonna be rolling together next year. Looking forward to it.
So a little rookie.
Yeah, a little rookie crew. Don't got a name for it yet, but
yeah. So you're trying to recreate, what do they call their Surge?
The Surge Squad. Yeah,
Surge Squad.
Yeah. It's funny.
MJ says, have you ever told that you look like a
dude? I get that all the time when I shave to just a mustache. Yeah, I get the some people call me Biz. It's funny. Brought that up.
And he's a hockey player, right?
Yeah. Well, he played a couple games in the NHL, but now he's an announcer for. He does intermissions for TNT and then big YouTube channel. He's with Pink Whitney guys.
Okay.
Barstool.
Nick Trim checking in.
What up, Trim?
Anyone on the elites you're looking forward to like meeting or rubbing shoulders with?
Yeah, Polinick. He's been the one that I've looked up to the most. I actually, kind of funny, he posted something on his Instagram. I think it was in 2019. Some pictures, and this has been my background on my phone since 2019. I don't know if you can see it, but it says "enjoy the process," and that's been my background for 6 years now. So, super excited to meet him, and his whole YouTube series and stuff like that. What him and Kyle have done have really influenced my bass fishing career, and yeah, so looking forward to that. I mean, a couple of the funny guys, like I want to meet Swindle. Then obviously listen to him talk and stuff like that is cool. So excited to meet him, and yeah.
Yeah, I think that's. I didn't ask him who he wants to avoid. Like,
I've already met Trim.
Yeah, you're not missing anything. Jim says, "Yeah, same boat. Any new units, new setups? Not you change anything up for the elites?"
Yeah, next year I'm staying in Phoenix next year, but I got a new one on the way. Going to be running a Yamaha next year on the back of it. Switching up, I'm taking 2 units off the boat that I got now, so I'll be running one HDS Pro 12 at the console, an Explorer 12 at the console, and then I'll be running a 16 Garmin and a 12 Explorer up front with 360 in scope. So kind of rolling with what I know. The only thing I'm changing up is I've never used a 16-inch Garmin before, so it's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. I've had a 12 for the last 3 years, so trying to get that in as quick as possible.
It's going to be throwing at 2-pounders that you think are 3-pounders?
Yeah, exactly. Dude, I went out on Erie right before we had ice like 2 weeks ago, and I had to take my boat up to the shop at that point. So we took my buddy's boat out there at 16, and I was looking at these boulders and catching like 3-pounders, and I'm like, every time I look at it, I'm like, dude, that's a giant, and catch this like a 3.5 pounder. I'm like, yeah, this is going to take a little while to get used to.
How much do you think 360 is going to play in the non-scope events?
I really don't know, because I don't know 360 that well. I used it for 1 year. I think I had it in 22. And honestly, when I had scope in my boat, I didn't even really use it. So I just took it off. Mm-hmm. So I really don't know it that well. I think it's going to play just for, some offshore stuff that might be easy, or it'll be, I'm trying to think of a good way to put it. It'll make things a little bit easier fishing offshore, just still being able to.
It's going to help you become completely inefficient. I mean, right? It's going to help maintain some of that efficiency that scope brought to offshore fishing.
For sure. Yeah. That's a great way of putting it, for sure. So I think it's going to be important. I think you'll see it play a decent amount next year. Maybe not like full, it won't be like 100% have to have it in the non-scope ones, but some of them you'll definitely see it be really important.
If you want to fish offshore,
mm-hmm.
It's going to be a good aid to make sure whether you're casting out boulders or brush piles or whatever, that your casts are still, you don't go from 95% hitting your brush pile to like 5%. At least you're going to be at like 80% hitting your brush piles or whatever.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just the ease of still seeing what's in front of your boat and knowing that extra step versus not having it is definitely going to be important for that offshore deal.
Yeah. Polnick was one of the original masters of the 360, so that'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite clips ever. I think it was 2017 on Rayburn when he won that the Texas Fest. He talked about how he saw brush pile on 360 and casted into it, and caught a giant one out of it. So
cool. Let's keep the questions coming. Let's take a 1-minute break here.
Cool.
And then maybe we'll pick Aaron's brain on some Great Lakes smallmouth fishing when we come back in a minute.
Are you ready to reel in your next home purchase or refinance? Supreme Lending's Dream Team can help guide you through the entire mortgage process, from pre-qualification to closing. We have a wide variety of home loan programs in our tackle box, including down payment assistance and first-time homebuyer options. You can ask HellaBass. He trusted us to help finance his home. Contact the Dream Team today by searching Supreme Lending Dream Team, or click the link below in the description, or scan the QR code on your screen.
Shout out to the Dream Team, Aaron Dagus. If you're looking to refi come in the new year, hit them up, give them a shot, see if they can help you out. But yeah, good reminder from Brian. If you haven't, doesn't cost you anything to hit the like button. It's much appreciated. So looks like Aaron had to go, maybe go grab a refreshment, or he'll be back here in a moment. What's going on? All right. So obviously growing up near St. Clair, like smallmouth, obviously you won out of Erie. You've done well in the BFLs that take out of the Detroit River. So quite a bit of experience in that region. Confidence for you. So I guess maybe let's start with somebody like Dustin Taylor, who came to Erie for the first time. If he's going to go fish a regional or an open or a big team tournament or something like that, what's some advice for somebody new to that big water that wants to get on smallmouth quick?
Yeah. So my best way to break down Great Lakes fishery is you got to try to not. So when you're first looking at it, you got to figure out the areas that you can research and find where those populations of fish are, because they don't live everywhere. Outside of Lake St. Clair, where there's no hard structure and those fish are constantly swimming around everywhere, there's only certain areas that they actually live, and there's a lot of dead water on those Great Lakes. So your first step is to do as much research as you can to put yourself in scenarios where you're going to be around fish. And then once you know that you're in those areas that have fish in them, is you need to break them down. It's not one of those where you run 10 miles out to an area and then you spend an hour there looking around. You're like, I didn't catch fish. I'm going to run another 10 miles and keep going. It's one of those things of you got to break down certain sections. The way that I look at it when I go out there is I'll pick a section and I'll fish it for a day, and usually I'd say 80% of the time you end up running into them because, somewhere in this area, this 5-mile section of Erie, that there's going to be a population of them. You just got to find the needle in the haystack versus bouncing around too much. So I think, a lot of guys might go till 3:00 in the afternoon with catching 15 drum and 2 walleye, and they're like, man, we gotta get out of here, and then completely start off again in a new area 10 miles away. So I think picking little areas and breaking them down throughout a day, and then looking at it from a tournament scenario is if you go into it and, obviously this might seem kind of obvious to some people, but you go into an area and you do that breakdown section and you don't find anything, then yeah, completely change it up because you just put 12 to 14 hours in an area and didn't catch a bass. But I think a lot of guys get caught up in moving around too much versus trying to break down smaller areas and not looking at it as a massive fishery and just looking at it in little areas.
And I guess when you're breaking down, is it a lot of graphing for you? Is it a lot of getting up, looking around at your scope? Is it reaction baits? How do you break down water quickly?
Yeah, so most of it's done behind the wheel, graphing for sure. I mean, you'll see Erie's a great example when you go out there and graph. There's a ton of rock, endless. You could scan for years and not mark every boulder in that place. But it becomes kind of, I wouldn't say second nature, but becomes something where when you see it on side scan, you kind of have a pretty good idea that there's going to be a fish living on it. Especially, you'll graph for an hour and you'll see 50 boulders that are 2 to 4 foot tall, and then all of a sudden you see that one that's different, whether it's 8 foot long or 8 foot tall. Like, it's just something different. Those smallmouth want to be on something different. If it's slate rock that's got a gap of sand in between it, and you've been looking at slate rock in your side scan for hours, and then you see that gap of sand, like, they want to be on something different, and that's what's going to attract them more. And once you do find that something different, especially when it comes to rock, there's going to be more fish in that area. So if you find that boulder that's 8 foot tall, they're not just going to be on that boulder. They're going to be on those boulders that are around that boulder too, that are 4 foot tall, or those little sand patches and stuff like that. It's all about finding that one little difference and giving those fish a reason to be there, to have a population of fish in that area.
Mm-hmm. And what's your different advice for breaking down St. Clair then?
Yeah, St. Clair's a little different. That's definitely a live scoping place if they allow it in the tournaments. Now we got to say that because some of them don't. But yeah, you want to scope, and being as efficient as you can, and those fish will group up in size out there more than people I think would think looking at scope, because you see a lot of fish, but really when you do get around them, like, generally you're going to catch, when you're around the right ones, you're going to catch all 3.5 to 5+ pounders. So the way that I go about it when I'm practicing is, I'll pick a spot, middle of the lake, Anchor Bay, doesn't matter where it is, because those fish live all the way from 5 foot of water to 20 foot of water in the summer. So same thing, you pick a section of the lake, this is where I'm fishing today, and I'll drop the trolling motor water and pan around for 10 to 20 minutes, and I'll wait until I catch a couple. So, like, let's say I go for that 10 or 20 minutes, I'll catch 2 to 5 fish, and if all of them are under 3.5 pounds, I'm gone. I'm picking up the trolling motor, I'm running another, get on the big motor, run up another quarter to half mile, put the trolling motor back down, do the same thing, 10 to 20 minutes, look around, catch a couple. If they're all under 3.5 pounds, I'm going to get back up on the big motor, and I'm going to keep going. And it might, you might not find them in a day because it's such a big fishery, but eventually you're going to land on them, and you're going to put the trolling motor on, and that first one you're going to catch is going to be a 5.5 pounder, and next one you're going to catch is going to be a 4, and then next thing you know, you're going to have 23 pounds. So it's a matter of moving around and trying to stay on them. And another thing to add to that too, this is diving a little deep into it, and but when you do find that area, and you're dropping the waypoints of, I caught a 4 here, 5 here, 5.5, you can kind of grid them as you're dropping the waypoints. Those fish are going to move. Like, you're going to go back tournament day, and you're going to go through those waypoints. You might not see a bass, but those fish don't swim as far as people think. They're not completely gone. But if you can just get outside of that zone, even if it's on Derby day and you're like, man, I don't have a bass and it's 9 o'clock, but I caught 24 pounds here in practice. Like, if you can just start to circle that area and make that circle gradually bigger and bigger and bigger, you're going to end up running into them, because they didn't go that far. They're just not there. And I guess, yeah, this is a little bit of juice on St. Clair too. If you go start on your spot in the morning and those fish aren't there and you're not seeing them, go back there before you run in, because they'll show up. A lot of times the only place that those fish have to hide is on the bottom, and your live scope's not going to pick them up when they're belly on the bottom. And a lot of times what they'll do in the afternoon is they'll start floating once that sun comes up. Or if we get wind in the afternoon, starts turning the water over, those fish will start to come up. So a lot of times in the morning you might not see them, and then you come back there about noon, 1 or 2 o'clock, and they'll be up high floating.
So instead of bailing on Anchor Bay on day 2 and running all the way down to the dumping grounds, I should have stayed in Anchor Bay.
I'm not telling you what you should have done, but yeah, no, it's definitely things change. So yeah.
Yeah, there was one day where I actually thought I knew what I was doing, and then the next day I didn't think I knew what I was doing on St. Clair. So,
dude, it's crazy how fast it changes out there. It really is incredible. And how those fish like set up with different weather and stuff like that. And what's weird is, like, you'll see one day with high sun, they'll be floating, and the next day it'll be high sun, slick, calm, same conditions. You go out there and they'll be belly on the bottom and won't even look at anything. And it's like, it almost feels like it's more of a timing deal throughout the time of day, and there's no way to tell what time they're going to be firing. It could be at 7:30 in the morning one day, and the next day you go out there and fish 7:30 to noon and catch 3-4 pounders, and then all of a sudden it's like a light switch flips in that area and they're just up feeding. So
yeah, I do feel like in that open, them fish did feel the pressure though. Like,
oh, for sure.
Like, that weekend when we started, every fish in the lake would hit a drop shot.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know some guys had them on drop shot in the tournament, but like, it seemed like the minnow really took over in that tournament.
I haven't weighed in a single bass in the last 2 years on St. Clair on a drop shot.
But when they're really on the minnow, you can't do it wrong. But
no.
What I found myself on day 2 is like seeing fish, but I didn't know what I was doing with the minnow. So I didn't know how to react. And like, I was like, not, I was letting them get too good a look at it. I wasn't keeping it high enough. Probably. I was probably like fishing it too slow. Like I didn't have any of the reps to like make the adjustments when in practice, when you threw it out there and it was just like, like, you couldn't do it wrong. They're just, like, this is easy. But like, I didn't get to do any of the stuff to make them adjust. So like when they were like doing this, I was like, like
100%. Oh, let's go into that a little bit too. Like talking about a minnow and smallmouth, because it's completely different. It's completely different than largemouth fishing. Like the way that I always explain it, like the best example is obviously on St. Clair and a place like Champlain where those fish are constantly swimming around. And it really is the same way when you're boulder fishing and stuff like that. But it's all about being efficient because there's so many fish and so many 4+ pounders in those places that most of the time I'm not going to give a fish more than 1 or 2 casts. Like, so I always throw the heaviest head that I can get away with. And most of the time I start with a 3/8 or a 5/16. And because those fish, like you were saying, the smallmouth, they're going to bite it in the first 3 seconds that minnow's in front of their face. They're not, I'd say 80% of them that are going to bite it are going to bite it right then. They're not going to wait until that minnow's all the way up at the boat and chase it for 80 feet and then bite it, because they're just curious fish. Like they're either going to bite it or they're not, in my opinion. So I'm trying to get away with the heaviest head to cast as many smallmouth bass I can in the 8-hour tournament day.
Or if you're like me and you see him in that grass clump and you just keep educating him and throwing the minnow and just playing peekaboo with him, and you like now I know those fish probably would never bite. If they didn't bite it on the first 2 casts, I should have moved. Instead of just spending like 15 minutes playing peekaboo with the 5 fish that are sitting in that grass clump.
Right. But it's crazy how different largemouth are too. Like, you see clips of like what Fisher and I did with that bass at Okeechobee. Caught that almost 9-pounder. He said he chased it for like 45 minutes to an hour. Like that's something I would have never done. Like I mean,
I've done it. And I've heard about people doing it shallow, but I guess no reason it can't happen with scope. But you do hear about that, but I hear more about what you're saying as being efficient. Like give the fish 1 cast, maybe 2 if it kind of showed something, but then it's just like find the next one, find the biter.
Exactly. Yeah, because there's so many fish, and especially, I mean, it all depends on what fishery you're at, but place like Lake St. Clair, there's so many 4-pounders out there. If they're not going to bite, you might as well just go hunting for the next one, because like we were saying, it's just all about being efficient and getting that bait in front of as many fish as you possibly can. And, the outcome hopefully will be where you want it, 20+ pounds. That's always the goal out there.
Yeah. How hard do you think it would, like, obviously 5+ years ago, St. Clair was awesome. People drug tubes and they drifted, how hard do you think it would be to catch 24 pounds out there without scope right now?
It'd be tough, for sure. 100. Like,
do you think the fish are just? Do you think there's less fish? Do you think they're more educated? Why do you think you can't just flail around with a DT10 or drift around and catch as many smallmouth as you used to?
Yeah, they're more educated and they're constantly getting more pressure with, I'll say it, with forward-facing sonar. They are 100% getting more pressure because, like I said, there's nowhere for those fish to hide unless they're belly on the bottom, and those fish are always feeding, so they're not going to be on the bottom for that long. Like, you might get 2 guys that pass a fish that don't see him, and then this fish comes up to eat a perch or a crawfish, and that guy's going to see him. But yeah, and I really think a big factor of it too is in the last 2 years with live scope, I haven't seen any like big schools. Like, you might see a pair of them, you might see 3 of them, but really, like, I haven't seen any big wads of them. Versus when I first got scope and I went out there with it in 2021, I would see schools lined up on the bottom of 20 to 50 of them, and you throw like, this was 32, so you're seeing them at 20 to 50 feet in front of the boat, and you pitch your drop shot out there, and it gets halfway down, and it looks like every piece of grass is come swimming up at it like this. But I haven't seen that in a long time. So I think a lot of the pressure is getting to them, and I don't think it allows them to get as schooled up. But when you do find them grouped up, they're fresh. Like, those fish haven't been touched in a while.
Yeah, I did hear some people. I didn't see them, but I did hear people talk about they did see some schools. in that, at least in the practice of that open. But
that's how I caught him in the open. I found one school in Canada the first day of practice. I went over there and it was like the live. I've got a picture of live scope on it. It's insane. Like I did like a 360 of it, and it's at all times you're seeing 20 of them lined up on the bottom. And I pulled up there the last day of practice because at the time we had the long practice. So we had 5 days. So it would have been the fourth day because I don't think any of us fished the last day because it was crazy out there. But
I went on the river for a little bit, but
yeah. I pulled up the last day of practice and I couldn't believe that they were still there and didn't make a cast at them. And then went back there day one of the tournament and fired a minnow out there and the whole bottom came up at it. And yeah, that's the last time that I've like legitimately seen a school. I hold a Bassmaster record. I'm claiming it. First one to catch 24 pounds and take a dump before 7 a.m.
Nice. Were you surprised that was it 28 was leading?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's a giant bag out there for that time of year. I couldn't believe it. When I saw that, I was like, dude, that's insane. Like I'd have thought that 23 pounds a day would have won that tournament. And to see what Jay did with the 25-pound average, that was insane. I honestly thought this year, I really thought that somebody was going to break the century belt, St. Clair. I really did.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I guess what's your favorite non-minnow smallmouth technique?
I got 2 of them. My favorite thing in the world to do is sight fishing with a hair jig, like getting up on Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, UP, and even the St. Clair River. You can do it a lot. And sight fishing on a hair jig. There's nothing cooler than that than watching that dark blob swim 30 feet over and shark it and finally eat it. But yeah, I'd have to say the number one in the last 2 years has been a jig. That's what I've caught a ton of fish on it. That and a minnow have been the 1-2 punch.
Like a structure jig, flipping jig, football jig, finesse jig.
Yeah, finesse jig, like the OW sniper jig. Like that's a really good one. Cast again makes a really good one. It's got a screw lock on it, and then my buddy back over here, we make some homemade ones that are pretty legit. So, but yeah, those 2 have probably been the most powerful baits. And I mean, for the most part, when I go smallmouth fishing and I'm scoping, those are the only 2 routes I got on the deck. I got a minnow and a jig.
Sure. You tie your own marabou for your?
Yeah, I really enjoy it. I grew up fly fishing with my dad, so he was always tying flies. So it's something that I enjoy to do, especially in the winter. You know, I'll sit down, tie 25, 30 of them and have them for the year. So yeah, it's such a fun technique catching them like that and seeing them. It's incredible.
Yeah, very cool. So what's your favorite way to not smallmouth fish?
Favorite way to
what's your favorite largemouth fishing?
Skipping a jig under docks.
Yeah,
I like that, and I like frog fishing.
There you go. Those were the only 2 right answers, so you passed. Yeah. We won't delete the replay of this. We'll keep it up.
Dude, I'll tell you what. Even now with scope, about every single weeknighter in where I'm from in Michigan gets one skipping a jig or skipping a frog under docks. Like you can't beat it. It's incredible.
You kind of got those natural grassy lakes like we do.
Yep. Yeah.
And
a lot of shallow docks.
You can't use scope, but it's not the dominant. Like the grass to me is the great equalizer. In non-smallmouth lakes, grass is the great scope equalizer.
100%. 100%. Yeah, all of our lakes are all the, shallow docks. And it's funny because we always say, like, the best docks on our lakes are the ones that look the worst. Like, the docks that are in 8 inches of sand are usually hold the biggest fish. Because we don't have a ton of deep docks over here. Like, most of them are anywhere from 8 inches to 3.5 foot of water. And it's rare to see a dock in, like, 7, 8 foot.
All right. So people want to hear about your favorite jig and trailer setup.
Yeah. Okay. So usually I've kind of gone back and forth, but for the most part, just any kind of ball head jig, anything that's got a beefier hook in it. Last year I worked with Jewel for a long time. So they make one called, it's their SOS, heavy cover finesse jig. So it's got a real beefy hook in it. But it's still a real small compact jig. And I paired that up with the Yum Money Craw, and that's what I threw for the last 5 years, and that's been my dock bait. So
They still make the money crop?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, unless I got a bunch of them. Let me look it up.
So you like a ball head over like an Arky for docks?
Yep. Yep. It's just for the most part, just because like the skirt material is usually a little bit thinner on it, and I know you can cut it out on the Arky, but usually it's just a little bit more compact profile. So I like to throw that because a lot of our dock fish are pretty pressured around here. So I like to try to get as compact profile as I can versus you know, and honestly I do skip a stupid tube a lot too. That's a big bait over here, skip under docks. So poor boys tube with a stupid tube head. Yeah, the money craw is bad to the bone.
6 colors of the money craw at the Tackle Warehouse. I didn't realize that was still a thing.
I was just fact checking myself, but yeah, that is my favorite jig trailer. I don't know what it is about it. My buddy put me on it back in like 2017, and ever since then, dude, I got like 200 bags of those things, and they're in my boat at all times.
Do you cut it down a little bit then, I assume?
Yeah, I cut it about in half because usually, I mean, the jig that I'm throwing is only like
you get rid of basically the skinny part and just put that chunk part on. Yeah,
just put the chunk part on it. Yep. Yeah.
All right. Now they want the rod and reel line set up.
Yep. So 8-to-1 gear ratio. Throwing usually either a 6.9 or 6.10 heavy rod. Either a heavy rod or a medium heavy extra fast, something that's got a tip on it, just so you can, you know, get that roll cast and fire it up under there. And for the most part, I'm throwing 20-pound line with the jig, and then with the stupid tube, I got on to 15, just because when you throw a little bit heavier line on that stupid tube, you don't get that natural action of the spiral on the tube when it's falling down. So, but yeah, 20-pound Seaguar Red Label. That's my favorite.
There you go. I feel like we'd hang out. Like I'm a big dock skipping guy. Like, dude, if I'm around smallmouth, I'm usually throwing the stupid tube, and if I'm around largemouth, I'm throwing a jig. So,
yep, heck yeah. And I'm mixing that frog a lot too. Frog and a mag draft. Those are the two other baits that I skip under docks a ton.
All right. Cool. Yeah. Anybody else got any other questions? We're kind of bumping up an hour and a half in here. Pretty good crowd chatting up tonight.
Yeah.
So what's how about you've been traveling through college and the opens? What's your go-to road meal? Like when you're traveling, go-to road.
You cut out there.
Yeah, go-to road meal, like when you gotta fuel up, get your food.
Dude, honestly, I meal prep a lot. I make a ton of food at home, and I usually meal prep pasta, and then I'll make chicken for dinners and take it on the road with me. But I really don't eat fast food much. But I'd say for lunches, salami and mustard. That's like my go-to. I'll just go to the store, get a loaf of bread, buy a thing of salami and mustard, and that's about. I could live on that for a week.
And if you forget it in the cooler, salami and mustard's probably still good the next day.
Oh yeah, it's still good. It's sat at Wheeler in 90-degree weather for 2 days, and that stuff was still good. Didn't hurt me. So
I mean, so it's like you cash a nice check, you're out of your house, you're driving to the next one. How are you? What's the food that night?
The food that night, usually
you just do another salami sandwich, or do you treat yourself, get yourself like a Chipotle bowl, or?
No, yeah, I mean, I do like Chipotle. I'll get chipper every once in a while. I guess probably like a grilled chicken sandwich from Chick-fil-A is what I'll eat. I don't know. Like I said, I don't eat a ton of fast food anymore. I guess back in college, I had a lot of Wendy's. The 4 for $4, that was the deal.
Yeah,
4 for $4 and upgrade to a large fry. It was $4.56. Fill yourself up for under $5.
Your the bulk to buck ratio.
Yep. I always just try to keep it as cheap as I can. So, like I said, salami and mustard for lunches once I run out of the meal preps, and then make it work for dinner.
There you
go.
Yeah. Frank wants to know, have you ever fished the Canadian side of the Great Lakes in late June through July and noticed a difference in the behavior after the long closed season?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Are the fish super dumb?
Yeah. That's a good question for sure. Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, when it opens up, they're definitely not as smart when that first weekend. The big thing is too, though, is it usually seems like on St. Clair that those fish are just a hair behind on the Canadian side for the most part versus on the U.S. side. It seems like that water gets a little bit warmer, especially when you watch how the current flows throughout the lake. Like there's certain parts in Canada that'll get warmer faster than others, but just staying around those bigger fish at that times of year. So I usually don't go over there super early in June or like when it opens late June, just because it seems like those fish on the U.S. side might be a little bit further along for the most part. But even once you get over there in July, yeah, definitely a lot less pressure and those fish are easier to catch.
Yeah, that's why the chambers don't want to pay for money, because Aaron's getting by on a pack of hot dogs and some mustard and not stimulating the economy. You got to at least wait till you get there to buy your salami so that you're
I do.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, I go to the local grocery store and get whatever the cheapest salami is there. The prepackaged stuff, $5 for.
You don't even go to the deli?
Nope. I just grab the prepackaged stuff and whatever's cheapest.
I feel like the deli salami is actually pretty cheap. Not like the fancy stuff that's like but like if you have them slice it, I feel like it's, I don't know. But of course, you're usually rolling in at like 10:30 at night at Walmart, and there's nobody at the deli slice at that point. Like,
I've had a couple weeks where I've had to get like bologna or something like that, and then you just make it roll. That stuff will stay good for a week in the cooler.
No Scooby-Doo fruit snacks?
Oh, yeah. Bo knows about those. So funny story about that. We were fishing like 2 months ago, and he just randomly asked me. We'd been fishing together for like, I don't know, 4 hours. And he goes, "You want some fruit snacks?" And I was like, oh, jokingly said, "Only if they're Scooby-Doo." And he goes, "Buddy." And he just pulls them out. He's got a whole pack of Scooby-Doo fruit snacks in his boat.
There you go. Yeah. I mean, like jerky, nuts, boat snacks, that kind of stuff, or...
Yeah, for me, fruit and protein bars. Dude, a lot of people have the superstition about the banana, but usually I have a banana in my boat. Banana and an apple and a protein bar, and I'm usually good for the day. Some days slump sandwich.
Has a big jug that you refill of water as well.
Yep. Yeah, I drink about a gallon of water a day.
But you just like have the big jug, right? You're not like ripping through like little bottles.
Nope. Gallon jug. Pick it up, $2.99 at the Speedway or over there. Be quick, or Wisconsin be Quick Trip, right? That's what. Are those are only in Wisconsin, aren't they?
No, Quick Trip's Minnesota, Wisconsin.
Gotcha.
Quick Star in Iowa, but it's the same thing.
Best gas station. I will say that's my go-to breakfast when I'm in Wisconsin. Quick Trip breakfast sandwich.
Yeah, the croissant.
Yeah, sausage, egg, and cheese croissant. I'll switch it up. I'll get the biscuit sometimes.
Like fast food. That's kind of like a little cheat for you, I'm guessing.
Man, that thing's good though. It's like 2 for $5 too in the mornings.
Right on. Well, cool. Yeah, excited to watch. Should be a fun season. We got obviously, information, the 50-50, new anglers. I mean, obviously a super strong field, so it'll be fun to watch how it all plays out. And you definitely got your work cut out for you, and so does everybody else.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to talking to you again. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say I do have the new Omnia code. If you haven't seen it, if anybody wants to save any 10% off on any of the stuff that Aaron was talking about tonight, you can do that. And so that's good for the rest of the month. Going to do a special giveaway show on December 26th, day after Christmas, with punch fishing like we usually do, and I'm doing a whatnot on Friday night. So I guess that's kind of the news, what's going on. But otherwise, as always, thanks for coming on. Here to help everybody catch more big bass and suck less.
Appreciate you having me.